If you're starting a business online, then you have to get serious about building an email newsletter list. And I would know because I've made literally tens of millions of dollars myself using email. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how to get your first 1,000 subscribers fast so that you can build an email empire like I have. And together, we're going to break down 3 different people. It's a case study on how they built multi-million-dollar email newsletters. So you're going to find out how did they build their first 1,000 subscribers. Let's get into it. Newsletter number 1 is 1440. 1440 is one of the biggest newsletters in the market with 3.3 million subscribers and over 200,000 new signups each month. They ranked number 79 on this year's Inc. 5000 list with 5,746% growth in the last 3 years. They employ a team of 15 full-time employees, and it all started with an issue that they sent out to just 78 people. And at this very early stage, their founder had this to say: "We started sending 1440 once per week. We told ourselves if we didn't see a 40% plus open rate and a 10% weekly organic growth rate, we would stop. After week 1, we saw a 60% open rate, which we still have today, and our audience of 78 increased to 91. So we kept going. For the next stage of the newsletter, they relied on newsletter swaps, which are cross promotions, where you actually get other newsletters to promote you in exchange for you promoting them. It's a very popular and inexpensive way to grow a newsletter list. They also did giveaways on a platform called Dojo Mojo, which they said that allowed them to drive subscriptions very inexpensively with free giveaways. So they call it the one-stop shop for acquisition and engagement. And they also heavily prioritized making a world-class product, which led to a reader base that was obsessed with how good their newsletter was. So as a result, the newsletter also grew from organic word of mouth and referral, and they were able to use these growth levers until they hit 50,000 subscribers. And with a 50,000 subscriber email list, you can make quite a lot of profit just with that, and then look where they took it from there. At this point, they were able to monetize and use the profits on paid Facebook advertising. So up to this point, they hadn't spent any money on paid promotion, and now they started driving Facebook traffic, and they would spend $1 to $2 for each subscriber that they got. And they went from up to 100,000 to their current level of 3 million subscribers using that paid Facebook advertising strategy. They tested ads on Facebook, but also Reddit, Quora, and a host of other platforms instead. And Erica, who is their lead of growth, said this about how much they spent. The last quarter, we tested 1,500 different creative ads on the various channels. So pretty surprising, right? That's the amount of testing that they needed to do in order to scale from 100,000 subscribers to up and beyond 3 million. Let's move on to newsletter number 2. That's Morning Brew. In 2020, Insider bought Morning Brew. They spent about $75 million to buy Morning Brew from its founders, and it had at that time about 2.5 million subscribers. But how did they get their first 1,000 subscribers? Going all the way back to 2015 when they ran it out of a college dorm room. That's right, they started this little business as a newsletter from their college dorm room, and they went on to get paid over $75 million for that very business. And this newsletter was able to grow to their first 1,000 subscribers and eventually 2,000 in person with a quick pitch and a clipboard. You see, these 2 new co-founders, Alex and Austin, reached out to different club members and professors all around on college campuses asking if they could pitch their newsletter at the beginning of class. So think about that. That's outside the box thinking. So where most entrepreneurs, I think especially digital entrepreneurs, they get very hung up in the technology and like making fancy pages and fancy processes and automation. They skipped all that and they just grabbed a clipboard and asked people if they wanted to join their newsletter. And so they passed out a simple piece of paper to students in the class to write down their names and their email addresses. And surprisingly, this is what took them to grow to over 2,000 subscribers. So their next stage, what took them from 2,000 to 100,000, came down to 2 growth levers that they used. Number 1, they launched a robust ambassador program where they actually recruited college students. So they recruited like amongst their newsletter subscribers to get them to go out and refer others. So to do this, you have to think about that. They had to put out a pretty good newsletter so that people would be willing to then refer it to their friends. And they set up a little competition, a little game, made it a little fun, and college students around the country started referring their friends to sign up more. And growth lever number 2 is they ran cross-promotion campaigns with other complementary newsletters. Once you get your first couple of thousand subscribers, you can leverage that into doing these cross-promotions. You just contact other newsletter owners who have a similar audience to yours and a similar size list, and you just promote each other. And it's a great free way for you to attract some new subscribers. So from the 100,000 mark and beyond, they actually were able to start monetizing. They started to make significant money, and then they reinvested the money that they were making into paid ad campaigns. And from there, the rest is history. $75 million worth of history to be exact. Now, newsletter number 3 is the Bear Cave. Let's take a look. It's estimated that the Bear Cave, a newsletter about controversies and bad actors in finance and business, it brings in about $900,000 in sales per year from over 60,000 readers. And its founder is only 25 years old. Edwin, the founder, started back in 2020 in a very scrappy way, kind of like the Morning Brew founders. At the very beginning, he went from 0 to 3,000 subscribers by cold messaging all of his followers on Twitter. Here's what he says. I spent 3 days, my eyes started to hurt, just DMing every Twitter follower, being like, sign up for this newsletter, please. And that's what built the early momentum. I clawed my way to 3,000 free subscribers by October. There were 2 major growth levers that propelled him the rest of the way. So you see something in common here with some of these newsletters. Just because the traditional routes that someone might think about for building a newsletter, which is paid ads, for many people that's out of reach. Some people don't have the budget. Some people don't have the experience. There's a variety of reasons why paid advertising ends up becoming a barrier. So they got clever. They didn't quit and decide it wasn't possible. Instead, they found an alternate way of how do they get their first subscribers and start getting some money in the door so that then they could invest in ads. And you'll see some of these things take a little bit of old-fashioned roll up your sleeves hard work. That's what launched these businesses, and every one of them is now a multi-million-dollar business. But they all started out scrappy with some clever ideas, some free guerrilla and word-of-mouth marketing. That's how almost all of these have taken off. It's pretty interesting that they have this in common. So let's look a little further into the Bear Cave. So they produce world-class content. So they wrote intricate, high-level business deep dives that got mentioned in places like Rolling Stone. This high-quality content led to a lot of inbound growth. So they got links pointing to their websites, they got word of mouth, and people loved their product. And 2, they did a bunch of collaborations. So Edwin says that he prefers to say yes to every podcast invitation he gets. So these podcast collaborations led to exposure to new audiences. And with that strategy, doing podcasts, you can start small. You don't have to jump on Joe Rogan to be effective at podcasts. If you're just starting out with a newsletter and you have content worth sharing and an opinion worth others hearing, you should do smaller podcasts as you grow your audience and move up the food chain, going to bigger and bigger podcasts as you have the clout. Again, a guerrilla type tactic that many people would overlook because it's a little bit of hard work. It takes a little bit to be able to book the podcast appointments, schedule, show up, actually be on camera, and it can be a little uncomfortable, especially if you've never done it before. But by pushing through and doing that extra bit of work, it's a great way to get free traffic. Now, I want to thank Newsletter Circle, First 1000, and Growth in Reverse for their research, and I want to fully credit their work. Their research that they did, the newsletters that I was showing there, and the articles are fantastic. So shout out to them. Check them out. They're a great place to look at case studies about business success. And I'm sure we'll feature them again on the channel another time. So I'm curious, whose story did you find most interesting? So if you were starting a newsletter, what would you do to get your first 1,000 subscribers? Let me know in the comments. Which of these strategies is most appealing to you? Or maybe you hate them all. I don't know. Drop it in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on this subject. And of course, if you got value from this video, please tap that like button. It helps us feed the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel. You'll see a subscription link down below. Give that a tap, and then you can be part of our live shows we do every single week. And we're dropping content all the time on how to build and grow businesses. And I hope to see you in our next video. Goodbye for now. So for those of you who are not yet a PushButton AI customer, then you need to check this out. And all you need to do is go to pushbutton.ai/demo, pushbutton.ai/demo, and you can get a live one-on-one appointment to get on Zoom and see this powerful technology in action. And with PushButton AI, it will build an entire business from bottom to top. Everything you need, from your domain name to your logo to videos to audio lessons, an entire course that you can sell as your own, a 30-day email sequence that it writes. You can send a daily email for 30 days, all written by AI, and a whole lot more. It writes your sales page. If you're not sure how to write an expert sales page to convince people to buy stuff, it writes it for you. It writes a free report that you can give away to get subscribers to your list. It even creates and writes the opt-in subscription page to get people to subscribe to get the free report. And it goes on and on and on. It even writes your first 10 blog posts for you, and it can do so much more. Social media posts, ads, all of these things are done, and all you have to do is answer a couple of questions and push a button. Now, PushButton AI is not available to the public at the time of recording this video. And the only way to get in is by invite to our behind-the-scenes beta access. And during your live demo, we'll show you the technology. We'll actually work with you to actually map out an entire course that you could sell as your own. We'll outline the course with you together on the one-on-one Zoom call. And then if you so decide, if you're a good fit, you can come in, join our PushButton AI beta program, and be in business with that very course by the next day. Go to pushbutton.ai/demo to figure out if this powerful technology is right for you. You can register there. You'll book an appointment in the calendar. Be sure you show up. Our team will be very excited to meet you and show you how the tech works, outline your new course for you, and hopefully it's a fit and we can work together to launch your next business.